Muslim culture, and I specifically mentioned my home. I come from a home that my parents were practicing Islam. They were observant of the traditions of Islam. In school, I was identified as Muslim. I remember we had a course in religion as we were coming up, and obviously we were required to learn the ropes about Islam, how to pray, how to fast, and I learned all of those. Yet my heart was not completely with it because I had a lot of questions. I always felt about God as distant. I always felt that He would require a lot of things from me, but I don't completely understood His character. And that was a struggle that I had. I had grown totally away, from the whole idea of God. I was just thinking like an average person, to try to better myself, to try to get a good job, get good education, and so on. And I thought that those are the things that bring peace in my life. I was a student in college, and I received the invitation from this Indian guy. He had started a ministry among international students. Now, I was a student and I was poor, and so when he came and showed me this piece of paper, he said, well, there's a dinner program. And I said, well, good, it's a dinner, so it's free, let's go to it. And I told my wife then, let's go to this dinner program. So when we went there, I started conversing with some of these folks, and I found out they belonged to a Bible college nearby. And one of them, kind of in conversation, he asked me about what I believe. And then he mentioned to me something about Jesus, something about God. That was the first time I heard someone talk about God as if he had lunch with him that day. It was so foreign to me because I always thought about God as about the business of the universe, and He's not busy talking to any individual. But he started sharing about God in a very personal way. And then he mentioned the word like cross and the payment for the sin and so on, and I did not totally catch that, but I remember one thing very clearly first time. When I looked at the expression of this guy and he was talking about God so differently than what I've heard all my life, I thought that this is interesting. I'd like to know more. Even though I did not tell him, I was too proud to admit that there's something interesting and appealing about what he's saying, and I just stayed quiet. And I actually was not totally quiet. I was just kind of opposing. I was saying that, I believe in God. I'm Muslim. We practice, worship and other stuff. But inside of me, I felt a nudge that there is something this person is talking about that I have not experienced. Now that night we left, and that was the first time that I heard about Jesus in a different way that I heard in Iran. And I walked back to my home with my wife, and it was interesting that my wife was equally touched that night. She started changing. She started actually feeling like, we have been missing something. And she started reading the Bible and meeting some Christian. In fact, next Sunday she got up and went to church. And I said, that's fine, you want to go to church, it's fine. But I stayed home. But there was something inside of me, which I think it was a seed from God, that made me just asking this question, what is it in the life of this person? So this thing went on. My wife, after 2-3 months of fellowshipping with these individuals, she committed her life to Christ. Now when she committed her life to Christ, our home was, you have to understand, it was in a situation where we had marriage problems, we had a lot of issues, and my wife immediately started changing. It was very clear to me that this wasn't just a set of beliefs that make her know more than I do, but it was something that impacted her life. It was just tremendous. You know what happened? As I saw her changing, I started feeling so convicted about my sins, because I was beginning to hear this thing that God wants to deal with our sin. That's what is separating us. That's the reason I don't have peace, because of the lack of forgiveness in my life. I did not have